What's going on, everybody? C4 here today, continuing with the best mock draft series on YouTube, the biggest, the baddest that is going on. We're continuing today with the Cincinnati Bengals. Full 7 rounds. We will talk about free agency. We will talk about the 2016 draft, recapping and seeing where the front office likes to go. As you know, before we jump into this, I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan, but I am trying to cover all 32 teams because I think I watch enough college football to be able to assess and address every single team's needs. But if you are a Cincinnati Bengals fan, you're a diehard, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below if you have a differencing of opinions on where I pick players and what needs I did. I look forward to being enlightened by said fan, unless you're just a troll. Go away, troll. So looking at the Cincinnati Bengals last year, they were 6-9-1, finished with the 13th ranked offense and the 17th ranked defense. Their MVP easily is going to be AJ Green for me. He's consistently a superstar wide receiver, low-key stud every single year. I think with AJ Green, it was unfortunate that they shut him down early. I was a little bit worried that there may be some tension there because, if he would have came back, it looks like he could have played maybe the last 2 games for sure to the final game and it got his 1,000-yard that he's got every single season that he's been in the NFL. But 66 receptions, 964 yards, and 4 touchdowns on what was a fairly disappointing Cincinnati Bengals franchise last season is my MVP. So there needs to be 4 free agency started. I had as linebacker, defensive end, wide receiver, corner, and offensive guard. They got pillaged. Let's be completely honest. They got pillaged in the offseason. They lost Andrew Whitworth, starting tackle. They lost Kevin Zeitler, starting guard. Those are 2 massive losses for a team that really does rely on the run game between Giovanni Bernard and Jeremy Hill to keep some balance to their offense. How about Mr. Andy Dalton? And also, Andy Dalton needs to be able to stand up and have a clean pocket to be able to find A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd and Cody Core and all those guys. So those are 2 big losses there, and I think we're going to try our best to address the offensive line here in the mock draft. But what they did in free agency, they were able to re-sign Randy Bullock, 2-year, $1.5 million deal. He was fairly consistent, big old fat Randy when he came in, so we'll give him a B. They re-signed Brandon LaFell, 2-year, $10 million. I'm giving that a C+. I think LaFell is a decent wide receiver 3 here in the NFL. They re-signed Drake Kirkpatrick, 5-year, $52.5 million deal. Give that a B-. I think if they could be able to pick and choose, rather if they gave that big money to Drake Kirkpatrick or they could have brought back Kevin Zeitler. I probably would have been more partial to Kevin Zeitler on the offensive side of the ball, considering that there is just looking at their defensive backs, if you lost Drake Kirkpatrick, you still would have had Pac-Man. You still would have had Josh Shaw, Darqueze Dennard, William Jackson, who I'm big on. Now that you lost Kevin Zeitler, now you're starting guards Christian Westerman. I think I would have deviated the money, but then again, you never know where the contracts were going there and who maybe he didn't want to stay or not. They brought back Andre Smith at a tackle spot. He probably will assume the left tackle role. I don't know if Jake Fisher's done enough to earn that. They brought in Kevin Minter, which is actually a phenomenal signing at the middle linebacker spot because they did release Ray Maualuga. So Kevin Minter, I think, is an upgrade over him as well, starting in the middle with Vontaze Burfict and probably Vincent Ray, perhaps, maybe. I'm not exactly sure at all. I'm always very confused about who the official starters there at the linebacking core for Cincinnati. It always seems like it's Vontaze Burfict, and then it just rotates. So, but I think the linebacking core is not as weak as people thought. Forever the mock drafts were out them getting Reuben Foster, but it's slightly changed a little bit for me. But before we jump into that 7-round mock draft, let's see and take a look at what they did in 2016 and where this front office really is thinking as of late. I was actually a big fan of the Bengals. They might actually think I might have said they had my favorite draft class out of any team last year. They got a bunch of players that I was, fairly high on. First round, they got William Jackson III, who was my sleeper corner. Unfortunately, he got injured, but I think next year, man, he could definitely compete over busts like Darqueze Dennard, who's never really, got to get too much going. They got a late-round sleeper in Josh Shaw a couple years ago in 2015, but I think William Jackson should certainly have the opportunity to get a starting spot next year. They got Tyler Boyd in the second round, the wide receiver of a Pitt. Very good playmaker there. Had a solid rookie season, if I do say so myself. 600 yards, 54 receptions. Didn't have the touchdowns he probably wanted, but I think, it is tough to replicate what you lost in Mohamed Sanu and Marvin Jones. But I think, give it time, Tyler Boyd can do that. They got Nick Vigil in the 3rd round, an inside linebacker from Utah State. He was a tackling monster. In the 4th round, they got maybe my favorite defensive tackle last season after Sheldon Rankins, and Andrew Billings in the 4th round. They got Christian Westerman, the guard from Arizona State, who we kind of just shit-talked a little bit, but he was a solid guard. I think he made my top 5 guards last season. They got Cody Core in the 6th round, a wide receiver from Ole Miss, height, weight, speed guy with some upside. I think he had a couple big games here, 200 yards, 17 receptions, and very limited play, but he's 6'3". He can run fast, and you may be able to develop that. And then the 7th round, they got Clayton Fijeldum, the safety from Illinois, and I think he's more so a special teamer than anything. By the time you get a safety that's 6'1" and ran a 4.30 40, upside. Just a height, weight, speed, special teamer. And that's all you can ask for pretty much in the 7th round. So that being said, I was very impressed with the Bengals draft last year. And what we're going to do this year, if they follow me, I'm going to be also impressed if they get a lot of the guys that I'm going to talk about here as we jump into the 7th-round mock. So the Cincinnati Bengals have a lot of picks. I wouldn't be surprised looking at it if they don't have the most picks or up there for this year's draft. So we're going to be kind of quicker on some of the picks than we have been in previous videos just because we have so many to go through. But with the 9th pick in the 1st round, were so many, myself included, have had them going Reuben Foster in the past. I've switched it up, and I have them going with Solomon Thomas, the defensive end from Stanford. This guy here certainly is warranted of a top 10 pick. 4.69 40, 30 reps on the bench press, dominated his broad jump, 3-cone drill, 20-yard shuttle, showing off agility and explosion. That really, he's a combine warrior that had phenomenal tape last year at Stanford. A pro comparison is a Bengal legend in Justin Smith. I think Justin Smith was a little bit more productive with the 49ers than he was, but still, I think he can play anything 4-3-3-4, and I think you could have him right now come in, and you could take over for Michael Johnson. I mean, Michael Johnson's not bad. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. Michael Johnson is serviceable, but if you can get a guy like Solomon Thomas to pair him with a Geno Smith and a Carlos Dunlap, my God. Mother of God. That is going to be a phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal front four. Obviously, maybe a little bit biased with Carlos Dunlap as a Florida Gator fan, but Geno Atkins is top 5 defensive tackle in the NFL. Carlos Dunlap, fringe, top 5, can play like a top 5 defensive end, probably more so in the top 10 range. And then Michael Johnson's getting up there in age, so I think immediately Solomon Thomas can come in. And then you make Michael Johnson, he's a rotational guy. So being able to have a guy that would probably start on at least half the teams here in the NFL as an edge rusher, and Michael Johnson coming as a rotational guy with Will Clark. There you go. There he go. You got to have some phenomenal edge rushing there from the Cincinnati Bengals and be able to disrupt a lot of the teams, especially in the AFC North, which is what you need to do. So Solomon Thomas here for them would be a phenomenal pick. Jumping to the 2nd round, pick 41. We got to build up that offensive line. There's no other way about it. So either going with Taylor Moton, offensive guard from Western Michigan, 6'5", 320 pounds, 5'1", 40, put up 23 reps on the bench press. Played tackle, played a little bit of tackle there. That's pretty much all he played at right tackle. But most people think that he will slide inside to the offensive guard because that's just his physical traits and what he is good. He's a little bit stiff, doesn't really have the agility, I don't think, to play as a tackle, but he could. There's versatility there. That's another reason why in the 2nd round Moton presents tremendous value. I think he could come in and start at the right guard spot, or at least can challenge with a Christian Westerman, but where the right tackle spot's not nearly solidified with Cedric Ogbuehi, former 1st-round pick, hasn't really caught on. I've actually kind of asked Bengal fans, what's going on with Jake Fisher and Ogbuehi? And they're like, well, both these guys aren't really ready yet. So Moton has potential to play at right tackle, has potential to play right guard, basically the whole right side of the field on the offensive line. He could have covered, and I think that is excellent value on a team that definitely needs to reload here on the offensive line. Jumping to the 3rd round, pick 73, we're getting a wide receiver. He has some questionables, questionable offense, but that is what the Bengals do. Bengals get guys that have some questionable character concerns, and they get the most out of them. So in the 3rd round, I'm selecting D.D. Westbrook, the wide receiver from Oklahoma, 6 feet tall, 178 pounds. I think that's actually kind of generous. Pro comparison is Travis Benjamin. I see like that. He was a Heisman finalist. This guy here, tremendous playmaker. Last season, I mean, my God, 2016. 1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, 80 catches, can do it all. Play in the slot, can play on the outside. And right now, A.J. Green is your starting wide receiver. Then you have Tyler Boyd, Brandon LaFell, Cody Core. You throw D.D. Westbrook into that mix, he could very well earn that 2nd wide receiver spot next to A.J. Green, and that's getting 3rd round. That is tremendous value in the 3rd round. I think more so because they just re-signed Brandon LaFell and his experience. They'll go Green, LaFell, Tyler Boyd as their starters, but you're going to continue to build up that stable of wide receivers there after you lost the likes of Mohamed Sanu, and as we talked about Marvin Jones, I think a guy like D.D. Westbrook could instantly bring some playmaking ability as a rookie for the Cincinnati Bengals out wide, which is what they need. So then going to the 4th round, this first of 2 picks at 116, I have the going offensive tackle Avery Genesee from Texas A&M, 6'3", 318 pounds. 5'3", 540, 24 reps on the bench press. So where I had Taylor Morton more so, can play anywhere, but I'm more so as a right guard. Genesee is a right tackle through and through. NFL comparison is Marshall Newhouse, who's had a pretty serviceable career in the NFL. I think what you see with him is a lack of bend, but he will stay outside and can be a swing tackle for the Bengals, and I think more so add some competition there. Eric Winston's an old motherfucker. Eric Winston's getting up there in age. So let's add another Texas A&M project to try to compete and add some depth and solidify the right-hand side of Andy Dalton's offensive line. So I think Genesee would be the kind of guy. I mean, he's not flashy, not a super, wow, that guy's going to be great. But you're in the 4th round. If you can get guys that are going to make the roster and make this offensive line better as a whole in the 4th round, I think, especially for a team like the Bengals, that, like I said, they got a couple holes there on the offensive line. Get some talented prospects and see what sticks. Jumping to the 2nd, 4th round pick, 138. I have them going Marlon Mack, the running back from USF, 4.50 40 at the combine, 15 reps on the bench press, had a very good broad jump, 5'11", 213 pounds, uber productive at USF, sorry, can't say UCF, they're USF. Pro comparison, they got Denard Robinson. I don't see that at all, but he definitely is a scat back that has great speed, able to run inside, but more so an outside runner. But, running back has been somewhat of a polarizing topic. Is Jeremy Hill on the trade block? Is Jeremy Hill going to be there for much longer? But I think you add another guy back there just in case to build for the future. It seems like Hill and Bernard's contracts are going to come up similar at the same time, a year or two apart, and you're only going to be able to keep one. You're only going to be able to pay one, so you need to reload and add another potential playmaking back in that stable. And this is a very running back heavy draft class, so I think Marlon Mack in the 4th round makes the roster, gets a couple snaps here as a rookie, and then look for more so a bigger 2018 season from Marlon Mack. Jumping to the 5th round pick, 153. I think going after Devontae Fields from Louisville, outside linebacker, 6'2", 235 pounds, 4'7", 240. Another guy, kind of in the mold of a D.D. Westbrook, got kicked off of, where was Fields? TCU, I believe. Had some off-field stuff, went to Louisville. Things seem to, regulate themselves there at Louisville. But he certainly is a talented edge rusher. A little bit undersized, but I think you're going to be able to come and have him in different blitz packages right now, compete with a Marquise Flowers. Guys like that, the edge rushers that primarily they want to bring on blitz packages. I think a guy like Devontae Fields can come in and compete. And like I said, this is the theme of all my mock drafts, getting guys in the mid-rounds that can come and compete and won't just be camp bodies, special teamers, and practice squad guys. That presents tremendous value, and I think Bengals could get another guy with some character concerns that a guy like Paul Gunther will be able to utilize and maximize as a rookie. Going to their 2nd, 5th round pick, 176. I have them getting Nate Hairston, the corner from Temple, 6 feet tall, 195 pounds, 4'5", 240. Temple tough. That's what you get. He's a little bit raw, but he has an incredibly high ceiling to start and become, I think, a corner 2 in this NFL. And again, just add another corner to that stable of corners they have back there for the Cincinnati Bengals. You don't want to invest a high pick, but Pac-Man Jones is not getting any younger. Darqueze Dennard, is he a bust? Is he ever going to turn it around? You got Kavari Russell, Ben Wickery. I mean, the depth there for the cornerback spot, the Bengals could always look at getting an upgrade, and I think Hairston, best player available on my board in the secondary here at the 2nd pick in the 5th round. I think I'll jump all over him. Plus, he's Temple tough, high character player. These guys here where the Bengals always like to get some off-field concerns. Why not? You got to add a couple good leaders and natural leaders back there that kind of keep a yin to the yang in the locker room. I think Hairston can do that for them. Jumping to the 6th round pick, 193. I have going Ben Ballware, the inside linebacker from Clemson, 6 feet tall, 240 pounds, put up 20 reps on the bench press. I don't think his pro day's happened yet, so we don't have a 40 time because speed is a little bit of an issue. But he's, your mock, your fucking Scooby Wright, your Tyler Matakovich pick of the year. Tough, very competitive, very smart, big time hitter, can make big time plays, and has been a leader. But there's always the skill gap between college and pros might be, might leave him behind. But I think adding a guy like Ben Ballware here in the 6th round. He come in, contribute on special teams right away, get in there with Paul Dawson and Nick Vigil as the top depth linebackers. I think, again, just reload the linebacking spot. Kevin Minter, I think they only brought him on a 1-year deal. There's not a whole lot of stability right now at the linebacking spot for the Cincinnati Bengals. So a guy that has potentially a high ceiling, worst case scenario, could be a very productive special teamer in the 6th round. I would jump all over that. Jumping to the 2nd, 6th round pick, 217. I have them getting Deshaun Hall, a defensive end from Texas A&M, 6'5", 265 pounds. I had him mocked a little bit earlier, but just how my board went, I thought he was going to be a 5th round pick, but now here it's sliding to the 6th. I think it's just best player available on the defensive side of the ball for the Bengals here. You look at a lot of Myles Garrett's tape, and Deshaun Hall will show up. He's the guy on the other side that was making plays for quite some time. Pro comparison is Jason Jones, who was fairly successful, most notably with the Detroit Lions. But I think if Deshaun Hall comes in and competes with Ryan Brown, you got freaking Will Clark, Wallace Gilbury, Those are the defensive end depths right now. I think Wallace Gilbert's actually still unsigned free agent. So again, Deshaun Hall, 6th-round pick, a guy that you may have to throw on the practice squad, but I more so, some people want to say he's a 4-3 or a 3-4 kind of guy. I think he actually can excel in a 4-3 defensive end role, and that's what they do here with the Cincinnati Bengals. Upside there. Then the 7th round, pick 227. They're going after one of my favorite sleeper wide receivers this year's draft class, and that is Kenny Golladay, wide receiver from Northern Illinois. Height, weight, speed guy, very similar to pick to what Cody Core was last year late. 6'4", 220 pounds, ran a 4.50 40, 18 reps on the bench press. Another, like I said, just in the mold of a height, weight, speed. I really do feel that they should try to get at least 2 wide receivers in this year's draft class for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think a guy like Kenny Golladay, Cody Core, Kenny Golladay, and Alex Erickson would be the depth, I would believe, for this upcoming year. That's not terrible at all. So, I mean, because you pretty much have to rewrite and get Brandon LaFell out of there. He's not going to be a long-term option. So, continuing to add young wide receivers, especially 2 guys that are sub 6'2", 6'3", that can run in the 4.4s, 4.5. Sign me up. The more the better in today's NFL game. And then finally, with their last pick in the 7th round, 251, Ireland going Patrick Gamble, the defensive tackle from Georgia Tech. Didn't even attend the combine, but this guy was very, very productive here at Georgia Tech. 6'5", 280 pounds. Not necessarily, more so a Geno Atkins than a nose tackle, but he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.5 sacks for Georgia Tech last year. That is just, I was looking for best potential value on the offense or defensive line here with the final pick, and getting the guy that had 8 sacks, on a Georgia Tech team, kind of gimmicky. Doesn't have, the defense. It's not the same game structure if you're playing on another college. I think a guy like Patrick Gamble, come in, camp body, be able to come compete and see what he can do. So there you go, guys. That is my 7th-round Cincinnati Bengals mock draft. As always, leave a comment in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with any of the picks. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. Bengal fans, come on over. 100, we'll go 100 likes, per se, for tomorrow's upload of the Buffalo Bills 7th-round mock draft. And remember, here on Beast Mode TV, we have the biggest and best mock drafts on YouTube. So until next time, guys, it's C4 saying peace out.